All right. Guys, welcome to the Pitchfork Podcast for December 31st, 2020, the last day of the year. Guys, I hope you're having a good New Year's Eve. I'm going to be entertaining you for this afternoon, I should say. Now, the number to call in is 253-203-6784. Get a number, it's going to be 253-203-6784. That's the number to call in if you want to leave a comment. Now, guys, with that being said, you don't have to call in just to argue with me. Sometimes you just call in to share your feelings. Share how you're doing. Share what's grinding your gears. Tell me how your day is going during this pandemic. How has your life been shaping up? How have you been holding up? How has your job life been going? Your family life? What do you think about politics? What do you think about the direction of your country? It doesn't have to be America. It could be any country. But I just want to know what you're feeling. And also, if you don't agree with me, that's totally fine. However, if you don't agree with me, please come with some facts and evidence. And we're going to fact check you live on air. That's one thing about me. Is that the one thing about me, if you watch a lot of my long form videos where I animate stuff and everything else, is that I tend to do a lot of things that are very, very analytical. And I provide a lot of evidence for my points. Now, in the background, you're going to hear my dog. He's a 135-pound pit bull. His name is Azul, and he's a good boy. So don't mind him. If you hear him bark sometimes, I apologize, but it is what it is. So today's show, we're talking about Lindsey Graham. He gives GOP Senator Josh Hawley the people's elbow by telling him that his objections are going to go nowhere. COVID is on the rise in several states. There's a new strain in the U.S., and that's been confirmed in California and Colorado, and crazy stories and much, much more. Guys, you want to follow me? You can follow me on Twitter, Devs Apica, on the side right here, I should say. Also on Twitch, Fuse Painter 86. That is my gaming channel. I do a lot of gaming there. Now, with that being said, also, you can follow me on Devil's Advocate. I am streaming on Twitch. I am streaming on Trovo, VK, Facebook. I am also streaming on YouTube, Twitch. I am streaming on 6 different platforms all at once, and I'm going to only add more over time as I get better equipment. Now, with that being said, guys, we are going to be moving right into the show. Guys, if you want to call in, the number again is going to be 253-203-6784. Again, the number is going to be 253-203-6784. The number is going to be on the screen until we transition to the next scene. Now, guys, also a little bit of housekeeping notes. In the comments, I don't mind, trolly comments. However, I just don't want things to get nasty. Like, don't want inbounds, that kind of stuff. Because, I don't want that kind of stuff on this particular channel. I am not the government. I don't have to respect that kind of stuff, and I don't want that on my channel. So that's not going to be negotiable. Stuff like that, that's just silly. Sorry, I can't allow that. All right. However, otherwise from that, have at it. Now, let's get right into the news stories. Now, first things first, I know I get a lot of complaints from MAGA, so I usually cover Newsmax first because for the longest time they were saying, use Newsmax. Now the Newsmax has been coming out against the whole election conspiracies. I'm not sure what they're saying now. I mean, I don't know what they want me to read from the Daily Stormer, but we'll try to accommodate some of them. Okay, all right. So let's try to go and accommodate some of them now. All right. So here we go. Today I'm not drinking just water. I'm drinking some soda. Because today I decided to not drink purely high quality H2O. We're going to be looking into a few stories on Newsmax. And I bring the stories up as we go along because I want you to show you that I'm not just manipulating anything or dipping or anything else. I just want to show you that, yeah, I'm being honest. I'm showing you all the facts. Okay, so we're going to look into that story. Definitely that story. In this story. All right. So the first story we're going to cover today from Newsmax is going to be McConnell again thwarts vote for 2,000 relief checks demanded by Trump. This was demanded by Donald Trump. All right. That is from Newsmax. We're going to put that in the chat. That way you guys can have the link and you can follow along with me. You don't have to sit here and take my word for it. Because guess what? I'm not going to hide anything from you because I love you all. Here we go here. All right, so first story is from Newsmax. McConnell takes down 2K checks demanded by Trump. All right, so that's the first story we're going to be covering today. And that is, again, by Newsmax. McConnell, again, thwarts the $2,000 relief checks that were demanded by Donald Trump. Old turtleneck himself, King Cooper, Master Face McConnell, he does it again. Let's get into it. This was written on December 31st, which is Thursday, today, New Year's Eve. By the way, Happy New Year's Eve, and if I don't get a chance to say it before tomorrow, Happy New Year's. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell once again thwarted an attempt for a quick vote on $2,000 coronavirus stimulus checks on the Senate floor Thursday. He then launched into a verbal fight with Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat from New York. McConnell slammed the House passed bill for $2,000 stimulus checks as socialism for rich people. This, despite the vote, is part of President Trump's request that stimulus checks be boosted from $600 in the recently passed stimulus. Now, I apologize again. You're going to hear my dog in the background. He's a 135-pound pit bull. His name is Azul. He's a very, very good boy. But he's chewing on a big cow bone, gigantic bone. Let's move on here. The data show that many upper-class Americans have kept their job, work remotely, and remain totally financially comfortable, McConnell said. On the other hand, some of our fellow citizens have had their entire existence is turned upside down and continue to suffer terribly. We do not need to let the Speaker of the House do socialism for rich people in order to help those who need help. That's very interesting because it's not socialism when the average the average member of the U.S. House of Representatives and also the Senate makes $174,000. That's what they make. That's not socialism, though. Of course, they haven't refused those salaries. Many of them are rich. In fact, I think all of them are pretty much rich. I think pretty much all of them are. So I'm not sure how it's not socialism at this point for them to not be refusing, their salaries and giving it to the American people or to the poorest family that they have. I think the poorest family out there could definitely use $174,000, don't you? But again, when they get their money from our tax dollars, that's not socialism. That's just that's free market capitalism. That's laissez-faire. Laissez-faire. Cool story, bro. Oh my God! But let's move on here. But Schumer was having none of it. McConnell's insistence that the Senate only consider checks along with other Trump priorities, including repealing controversial Section 230 liability protections for online platforms and investigating election security, would make it impossible for any to become law, he said. McConnell said here, let me make this offer to the Republican Party. We're willing to vote on the other issues that President Trump mentioned. All the issues the Republican leader says must be addressed so long as we vote on them separately. If Leader McConnell wants a vote on these issues, we're here for it. Just give us a vote on the House passed bill, and we can vote on whatever right-wing conspiracy theory you'd like. Schumer then requested that the Senate quickly vote on the House bill on $2,000 stimulus checks. McConnell objected, meaning McConnell just said no because of politics. I'm not sure if you want to give a direct payment to the American people, why you have to attach other things to it. Why not just have separate bills? If you simply don't have the numbers to pass the bills, then unfortunately, Mitch, that's the way the cookie crumbles. All right, that's just how it is, Mitch. Every term there's going to be a party in power, and it's not always going to be Republicans. That's just what it is. Sorry. But let's move on here. On Wednesday, McConnell said on the Senate floor that a bill passed by the Democratic-controlled House of Representatives, which sought to meet fellow Republican Trump's demands for bigger checks, has no realistic path to quickly pass the Senate. With the new Congress set to be sworn in on Sunday, the action appears all but certain to kill the effort to increase the amount of the $600 checks Congress has already approved. Appearing to shrug off Trump's own initiative, McConnell continued, "The Senate is not going to be bullied into rushing out more borrowed money into the hands of Democrats' rich friends who don't need the help." Interesting. So the money should be given to you then, Mitch, who, once again, like other members of the U.S. House or the Senate, make $174,000 a year. Again, people don't believe me when I say that, but I always show this. It's always interesting. Average salary of U.S. congressmen and senators. It always says right here, $174,000. Now, Mitch, let's go back to that statement once again. Let's go back to that statement that he made. That's a very, very interesting statement. He says here, let's repeat that. The Senate is not going to be bullied into rushing out more borrowed money into the hands of Democrats' rich friends who don't need the help. Mitch, let's go back here. Mitch, you could refuse this entire salary here. You could forego the entire thing. In fact, no one can tell you what you can do with your money. You can just take your money, Mitch, and just give it to the poorest family in your district. Just find the poorest family in Kentucky, because that's what you represent, right? And just give your entire salary to them, because, Mitch, you have so much money. In fact, let's go look up how much Mitch McConnell's worth. Let's see if he can afford to miss $174,000. Mitch McConnell, yeah, I looked up the turtle thing to get the net worth. Let's look up his net worth real quick. Ooh! Oh my God! This man is worth $22.5 million. So, Mitch, if you miss out on $174,000, Mitch, honestly, that's not that bad, Mitch. I mean, honestly, Mitch, $174,000, if you give that to the poorest family, that could lift somebody out of poverty, Mitch. That could take a father's home and yeah, it's not gonna bring a father back, but the mother should be able to buy formula for the baby, right? I mean, at least she would have no excuse, right? I mean, that is true, right, Mitch? I mean, I'm just saying, you talking about Democrats' rich friends, Mitch. Are you one of those rich friends? Because brother man, you worth $22.5 million. Now, brother, I'm not worth $1 million. And I ain't none of them friends. And I would like $2,000. In fact, I would like $10,000 if you got it. In fact, you know what I want, Mitch? I want $174,000. In fact, Mitch, I want $174,000 and 1 cent. I want 1 cent of money that you got from last year. Not from this year, last year. That's what I want. That's what me want. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, correct me. Hold on. Wait a minute. Boop, boop. I messed up. He's the majority leader the majority leader and the minority leader of the Senate. Wait a minute. He makes $193,400. Mitch, baby sugar doll, how dare you? Mitch, you make $193,000, $193,000. I mean, you gotta think to yourself, Mitch. How can you talk about Democrats' rich friends when you ain't had a job in years? Because being a politician, that's not a real job. That's not actual manual labor. You know that, right? You know that, right? That's not actual manual. That's not something that requires the freaking the Infinity Stone of power, right? All right. You know, you have the Infinity Stone of Power from the Avengers, and you have Ant-Man. See, what you only require is Ant-Man. You don't get Deadpool's maximum effort there. Okay, politicians don't actually work. They don't do shit. Let's just keep it $1. $1.50, $2, $5, $10. Hell, fuck it. I got 5 on it. I'm just saying, bruh. How can this man sit here and talk about Democrats as rich friends when he ain't had a real job in damn years? And on top of that, this mofo is worth $22.5 million, making 193 stacks a year, bruh. You ain't got nerve. You got nerves to be talking about anybody else richest friends. Because if you was my friend, you be my richest friend. And that's real. Let's move on here, though. Democrats have insisted the aid is for the people in dire need of help in the face of a health crisis that has killed nearly 340,000 people in the U.S. But McConnell complained the checks were not targeted to need. Let folks vote. Mitch McConnell has the ability to do that. He simply is unwilling to do that, and the American people are going to be hurt, Democratic Senator Gary Peters told CNN. Trump had ramped up pressure on fellow Republicans to back the bigger checks for struggling Americans in a series of tweets over recent days. $2,000 ASAP, Trump wrote on Twitter early on Wednesday. On Tuesday, the president attacked Republican leaders as pathetic and accused the party of having a death wish if it did not back raising the stimulus payments or scrap legal protections for social media companies. Give me a second. Republican Senator John Cornyn told Republicans he thought it was unlikely that Congress would now act to increase the checks, given McConnell's remarks. Asked if he expected the party to face political blowback, Cornyn said, "No, not in any normal world," noting that lawmakers had already approved trillions of dollars in relief for an economy battered by the pandemic. Listen, bucko, what's his name again? John Cornyn, the Republican senator. Listen, buddy, you think giving trillions of dollars in disaster relief is somehow a good thing when you gave so much money to Egypt, to Myanmar, to Germany, to Japan, to Ireland, to the UK. You gave money to the European Union. You gave money to Coral Research. You gave money to research such silly things as political discourse in the country, diversity initiatives, which is, to be quite honest, most black people in the country will tell you we don't give a shit about diversity initiatives. Just give us some damn reparations. You could have saved money on doing that and just simply gave $1 million to every black person in the country, because guess what? We're only 13% of the country, so that's not many millions. And believe it or not, that's not a big part of the budget. $1 billion to America is not that much money, because there's over 300 million people in the country. So you got to think to yourself, with the amount of taxes that people pay, I mean, it's not that much money. You know what I mean? So, you know, we could take that as your diversity initiative. I will feel much diverse if you gave me $1 million. I will feel much approved. I'll be much happy, you know. And if you feel like, giving me $5 million, then put 5 on it. I will take it, okay? But all this other bullshit here, you talk about, well, no, not in any normal world. Mr. Corn, Senator Corn, you are not in any normal world. Have you not looked outside lately? Have you not noticed what's been going on the outside, or are you that daft? Are you that fucking stupid? Let me read to you that quote again, because that just blew my mind. That's going to blow your mind, right? Republican Senator John Cornyn told told reporters he thought it unlikely that Congress would now act to increase the checks given McConnell's remarks. Asked if he expected his party to face political blowback, Cornyn said, "No, not in any normal world," noting that lawmakers had already approved trillions of dollars in relief for an economy battered by the pandemic. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that this man is delusional or not delusional? He says, "No, not in any normal world." Do you think we are living in a normal world? Do you think it's normal to lose 340,000 people to a virus in 1 year that far eclipses the death toll from the flu or pneumonia combined? Do you think that it's normal for the government to shut down the economy? Do you think that it's normal for, in Idaho, a mother to be arrested just for bringing her children on the beach? Do you think that it's normal that a business who has an outdoor patio arrangement in California be shut down, and yet right across the street, a film production studio is allowed to produce a show? Is that normal to you? Do you think that when you hear quotes like this, when people like Mitch McConnell speak, do these people sound like normal people to you? Or do they sound like people who are just fucking delusional? So above the clouds, right? If you ever watched that movie Avatar, right? Notice how the main character managed to capture or tame the big flying creature. Is that he never had to actually look up, right? And so they never have to look up because they think that they're the biggest and baddest things out there. They never have to look down. They always look down on people. Always. Because their heads are always so above the clouds. But let's move on here. By the way, guys, hit the like button, hit the share button. Let people know that I run this podcast, because guess what, guys? You get the same energy every single time because I entertain you, but I also give you the news. Let's move on here. Some Republican senators have supported an increase in the payments, including David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, who face runoff elections in Georgia next week. That will determine which party controls the Senate under President-elect Joe Biden's incoming administration. Biden, who defeated Trump in a November election and takes office on January 20, supports the House bill. Congressional Republicans have largely struck with Trump through 4 turbulent years, but the president is angry that they have not fully backed his claims of election fraud. The tensions among Republicans have been exacerbated by a second showdown over an effort in Congress to override Trump's veto of a defense policy bill. The Senate voted 80-12 on Wednesday to begin debate on the issue, with another procedural vote due on Friday. If successful, the effort would lead to the first veto override of Trump's presidency. The House of Representatives voted to overturn Trump's defense bill veto on Monday. Once the preliminary hurdles in the Senate are cleared, a final vote could come later in the week or over the weekend. You know what I find strange about this whole thing? Odd about this whole thing with the checks. I remember back during the Bush years. You remember this? You remember the Bush bailouts? Let me show you something real quick. Bush bailouts, big banks. Here we go. Let's go look something out real quick. Let's see. See, the Emergency Economic Stabilization Act of 2008. Now, I wonder, since they were so concerned about just giving us $2,000, how much did they give, right, to these big banks? Interesting. Let's read something here, because I want to give you some snippets into history and to show you how full of shit your leaders are, right? So this is actually during the Bush years. The Emergency Economic Stabilization Act of 2008, often called the Bank Bailout of 2008, was proposed by Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson, passed by the 110th United States Congress, and signed into law by President George W. Bush, a Republican, by the way. The act became law as part of the Public Law 110 through 343 on October 3rd, 2008, in the midst of the financial crisis of 2007 through 2008. The law created the $700 billion Troubled Asset Relief Program, or TARP, to purchase toxic assets from banks. The funds for purchase of distressed assets were mostly redirected to inject capital into banks and other financial institutions, while the Treasury continued to examine the usefulness of targeted asset purchases. A financial crisis had developed throughout 2007 and 2008, partially due to a subprime mortgage crisis, causing the failure of near failure of major financial institutions like Lehman Brothers and the American International Group, or AIG, in case you want to know who they are. Seeking to prevent the collapse of the financial system, Secretary of the Treasury Paulson called for the U.S. government to purchase about several $100 billion in distressed assets from financial institutions. Paulson's proposal was initially rejected by Congress, but the ongoing financial crisis and the lobbying of President Bush ultimately convinced Congress to enact Paulson's proposal as part of Public Law 110-343. Early estimates for the total cost of the bailout to the government were as much as $700 billion. However, TARP recovered funds totaling $441.7 billion from $426.4 billion invested, earning a $15.3 billion profit, or an annualized rate of return of 0.6%, and perhaps a loss when adjusted for inflation. So they had no problem just throwing out that money to the banks, right? They bought some distressed assets. Now, let me ask you a question. Let's say that you are behind on some mortgage payments, right? Right. Let's say that you're behind on mortgage payments. Let me put that in the bank bailout of 2008. They gave banks money, but won't give you a cent. There you go. Read that right there. I just want to give you some literature. It's very interesting. So they were very, very eager to give out that money. If you're behind on your mortgage, what happens to your house? Better yet, let me ask you an additional question. Let's say that you are a restaurant, right? Right. And let's say that you can't make food correctly. And let's say that your food is always poisoned. Let's say that someone always poops in the food. Just every day, so someone just poops in the food. What happens to your restaurant? It gets closed down. And in principle, not only should it be closed down because it's unsafe and poop keeps appearing in the food, but it should be closed down because you failed at doing your primary function, which is being a restaurant. So if you are a bank that is consistently running out of money, why should you stay open? Because haven't you failed your primary function as a business? I mean, what's the use of having a bank if you keep running out of goddamn money? I mean, would you, right? Would you go to a tax professional, right, who managed Jermaine Dupri and Wesley Snipes? Hell no. If you don't know why, look it up. Oh my God, you don't want to do that. Oh my God, you do just don't abort mission. All right, but let's not monologue and let's go ahead and move on ahead here. We'll move on to the next story. I want to entertain you guys. I want to give you a story, but also entertain you because that's, again, people love me for that, man. They love me for that. And I love you for that. All right. So the next one here is why didn't we get money when Obama bailed out the automotive industry for that matter? Slappy, I agree with you. I agree with. Hey, listen. To keep it a buck, Obama wouldn't shit either. To keep it a buck, Bush wouldn't shit. Obama wouldn't shit. Trump wouldn't none of them shit. Let's just keep it a buck. You know, Barack Obama. Like I give you an example, man. It's a kind of like a little bit of a sidetrack here. First of all, let me post something quick. Next news. Lindsey Graham says Josh says elector objection won't work. All right, so that's the next story we'll be covering. But let's get back to Obama, man, briefly. So Obama, right? I was reading a story like on yesterday and the day before that, where people said that Trump was Islamophobic, and I do agree that to a certain extent Donald Trump was pretty hard on Islam, but some of the worst offenses against Muslims happened under Barack Obama. Actually, recently there was a Supreme Court victory for 3 Muslim men that under the Obama's FBI and Homeland Security, they basically tried to force them to testify against people and try to like rat people out, and they were like illegally holding them and like threatening them. It was like false imprisonment. It was some crazy stuff, like completely unconstitutional stuff, and that happened under the Obama administration. So this whole idea that Obama had a scandal-free presidency, I'm sorry, that alone bothers me. I don't give a damn if you're a freaking Muslim. I don't give a damn if you're a freaking Christian. You should have the right to have equal rights like everybody else. I don't care if you got if you got abused under Bush, Clinton, Obama, Trump. I don't care who it is. Abuse is abuse. That's why I criticize Trump. That's why I criticize Obama. And I talk a lot of shit about Trump. In fact, I don't even like him at the moment. In fact, I call him a loser a couple of times. So I'm fair with it. I don't pick sides with it. I'm fair with it. The one thing that you got to give me, right, is that I do call it down the middle. I do. I am a centrist. I am center right. So I call it down the middle. I don't play favorites, man, because there's a slogan that I always use, and that is no more fans, man. I'm tired of political fans. Let's get away from this culture of worshiping political idols, man. These people ain't shit. They ain't shit. Fuck them. They don't care about you. They're too rich. They are too rich to care about you. Let me ask you a question. If would you squash an ant if you didn't think of an ant as an ant? If you thought of an ant as an equal, would you actually squash him? No, you wouldn't. So why do politicians squash us? Because they don't think of us as equals. Think about it. They tell you that you don't deserve health care that's tax funded, but they get it. You don't deserve any kind of larger stimulus checks, but they get stimulus checks every single year from your freaking tax dollars, $174,000 on average. And if you are the House or the Senate majority leader, you get $193,000 and another $400 on top of that. So I mean, they get that every year. And do they go out there and do they pave roads? Do they cut down trees? Do they watch kids? Do they box? Do they play basketball? Do they do like hardcore training? Do they go out on the battlefield like soldiers? No. They sit their ass on a goddamn desk and lie, cheat, and steal. Like the late great Eddie Guerrero, bless his soul, my favorite wrestler of all time. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. But back to these motherfuckers, they lie, they cheat, they steal. Órale! Viva la raza! Yeah. Let's get into the article here. All right. Graham, doubtful Hawley's objection to electors will succeed. This is from Newsmax. Lindsey Graham is saying, Josh Hawley, your objection to the electors, saying that you wanted to go for Trump, it's not going to work. So when Lindsey Graham, when old Southern dandy, who is pro-Trump, all of a sudden, back when Trump was running, he called him all kinds of racist and horrible things, as if Lindsey Graham has any room to call anybody racist. But he's a Sutton fan because men like Lindsey, men who think that Saturday nights are right for fighting. He's a tiny dancer. He's a rocket man. Just. He's like a candle in the wind, if you know what I mean. Men like him, he's a little bit wishy-washy, just, oh, child, I don't like you now. Oh, child, I like you now. Oh, child, I might like you. Oh, child, your objections won't work. Oh, my God. Josh, hush up, child. Stop it, Josh. That's Lindsey Graham right about now. He is giving the Josh the old black woman Southern boo-boo child. Boo-boo. That's what he's doing right now. So we're going to get into this article. People say that I'm entertaining. I like to be entertaining. Before we get into the article, guys, hit the like button, hit the share button. Make sure you leave a comment. Let people know that I run the podcast. Let's get into the article here. Senator Lindsey Graham said he'll listen to Republican colleague Josh Hawley's objection to the certification of electoral college votes for Joe Biden, but doubts it will succeed. Senator Hawley has every right to object, Graham of South Carolina said in an interview on Fox News Thursday. But it's another thing to overturn an election of another state. Hawley of Missouri said Wednesday he will raise objections when Congress convenes to certify electoral college results January 6 to how some states, particularly Pennsylvania, conducted their elections. President Donald Trump so far has refused to concede his loss in the election, urging his supporters to carry on the fight. Carry on the fight, guys. Release the Kraken. Release the Kraken. Hey guys, fight on, guys. Fight on. Listen, fight on. It is entertaining. Trust me. Your spasmanian devil bullshit. It's lovely. It's delicious. The salt is real. The salt feels good. Just don't get all of it in my eyes because it kind of burns. But keep it up, guys. Keep it up. Graham, one of Trump's most loyal supporters in the Senate, said for Hawley to win his support to throw out any state's election results, you're going to have to prove to me that the allegations you make are real. Ooh, child. He just said, let me repeat that again. This is Lindsey Graham doubting him saying, he said, Graham, one of Trump's most loyal supporters in the Senate, said for Hawley to win his support to throw out any state's election results, quote, you're going to have to prove to me that the allegations you make are real, end quote. Ooh. Oh my God. Oh my God. That is, real. Get him, girl. I feel you, girl. I feel you. Oh, Southern dandy. All right. If dead people were voting, I want the names, Graham said. If you're going to retry the case in the Senate that's already been tried in the federal courts, it will be hard for me to basically take over the federal courts' role, but I will listen and we'll see how it comes out. Graham pointed out that former Democratic Senator Barbara Boxer's effort to object to electors in 2004 ended with her only getting one vote in the chamber, her own. Hawley's move puts many other Republicans in the difficult position of having to buck Trump and raise the ire of his coalition, or back him and lend credence to the notion that the election is illegitimate. Hawley said Wednesday he wasn't sure whether any other GOP senators would join him in objecting. Probably not. If they know us, what's good for them. An objection to any state by both a senator and a representative triggers as much as 2 hours of debate in the representative chambers and a vote on whether to accept the state's electoral votes. If Trump's supporters object to more than one state, the procedure could drag on for several hours. Just basically a meme. Basically a bunch of crying and bitching. Oh my God, they're not gonna let me win the election. I win the election, guys. Win gay. I want my participation trophy. I want my trophy, guys. You gonna take my trophy? That's basically what it sounds like. But you know, let me back up. Listen, MAGA. I'm only hard on you, right? Because I want you to do better. See, I know that you are the Tea Party, so I know you can do better. You don't have to sit here and resort to these conspiracy theories, right? Because you can win. You've already proven it with freaking Trump. Just back off. Wait. Bide your time. You'll get in again. Don't worry. It'll happen. You want to know why? Because it's the left. It's just like the right. You both fuck up. Both sides, both of you are fuck ups. Let's be honest. Neither one of you can really run a country. So let's just put this whole, Republicans great, Democrats great. Both of you fuck ups. Kids, you're both just awful. Awful. Okay? Awful. Let's move on though here. Oh my God. Here we go. Another one here. Georgia's early voting numbers have GOP concerned. Oh my God. This is going to be interesting. So we're going to go ahead and get this and post that in the chat for you guys. That way you guys can have this so you can't say I'm manipulating anything, I don't want to manipulate, I don't manipulate. I want to manipulate slide, I don't do the manipulate, By the way, guys, let me know if you like my personality. I'm always pretty much like this. I'm real jokey, but I like to be informative. I'm like that in my videos too. That's why sometimes I put the memes in there. Maybe I'll calm down with the memes, but I just want you guys to be entertained. I don't want you to be feeling bored, Because it's very boring to read through these articles. I want to entertain you too. It's very dry, The early voting numbers in the Georgia Senate runoffs have put Republicans on edge, according to the New York Times. And let me go ahead and get that New York Times article there. I'm going to give you that too. Post that in the chat as well as we go along. That way you want to just have something else to bite on. While polls suggest a close race between Senator David Perdue, Republican from Georgia, and Democrat John Ossoff, and an equally tight race between Senator Kelly Loeffler, Republican from Georgia, and her challenger, Raphael Warnock, the strong turnout in Democrat areas have GOP officials concerned, the newspaper said. Since the start of early voting on December the 14th, more than 2.5 million people have cast ballots in Georgia. A breakdown of votes revealed that Democrat strongholds, including DeKalb and Fulton counties, are showing high numbers, and African Americans in Georgia are voting their weight and then some, said Charles Bullock, a political scientist at the University of Georgia. Meanwhile, turnout has been weak in the northwestern part of the state, which is rich with many supporters of President Donald Trump. Uh-oh. Oh my God. Oh, it could be a Democrat blue wave there, man. That if I'm a freaking Republican, I'm worried. I'm worried. Yo, I'm putting on my Depends right now. I'm putting on my diapers, yo. I'm putting on my diapers. Oh my God. My diapers are on. They are strapped on, bro. If you are a Republican in Georgia, bro, you got reason to be worried. But Trump is set to hold a rally in Dalton, Georgia on Monday, while President-elect Joe Biden is scheduled to campaign in Atlanta on the same day. Vice President-elect Kamala Harris will hold a rally in Savannah on Sunday. Democrats have shown up for the early vote, and the overt emphasis on black voters has seemingly paid off. Brian Robinson, a Republican strategist in Georgia, said, Republicans, though, still have a lot of votes out there they can get, which is in particularly in northwest Georgia, where Trump is going Monday. The GOP candidates will win handily among election day voters. So the bigger the turnout on Tuesday, the bigger the Republican chances. Meanwhile, Trump has called on Georgia Governor Brian Kemp to resign. The president has claimed Kemp has refused to admit Biden lost in Georgia. Yo, if you're a Republican in Georgia, what Slappy, ain't that, isn't that like your freaking neck of the woods? Whose neck of the woods is that? I know somebody who normally watches the show. That's their neck of the woods, man. Ooh, should Georgia? I'm gonna ask y'all a question. Should Georgia Republicans be worried? I'm gonna ask y'all that question, man. You know, let me know. Let me know in the chat. Should Georgia Republicans be worried, man? Tell me. Let me know what you think. All right, but let's move on, because that is crazy. Now, here's some of the reason why this happened. This is from Newsmax. We're gonna get this link here in the chat. I'm gonna copy this title real quick, make it easy to. Okay, sorry about that, Slappy. I must have misunderstood you. But if you're from Georgia, please call in. Number's gonna be 253-203-6784. Again, the number is gonna be 253-203-6784. I want to hear from you if you're in Georgia, especially, because I want to know if you're worried about that, and if you're a Republican, just let me know in particular if you're worried about that. If you're worried about the fact that, you know, the early voting, like the early exit poll numbers are showing that the Democrats are doing great right now. All right. But here we go. Let's get back to another Newsmax article. This is going to be the last Newsmax article we're going to be reading for today. So we're going to close out the home page of that. Deal with this last part. We're going to shift left to MSNBC next. Okay. Outside youth groups pushing voter turnout in Georgia. All right. It's by Jeffrey Rodak of Newsmax, written on December 31st, Thursday, today, New Year's Eve. Young people who in some cases are thousands of miles away from Georgia are working to get out the vote as two January 5th Senate runoffs in the state approach. Excuse me. All right. CNN reported that groups made up of students, along with social media influencers, are working to push voter turnout for Republican Senators David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, as well as their Democratic opponents, Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. Students for Ossoff and Students for Warnock, groups unaffiliated with the two Democrats, have put together a team of national field organizers to help turn out voters for the two candidates. CNN reported that many organizers live outside the state, but use Zoom calls and phone banks to get their message out. Seeing so many young people across the country who were excited about Joe Biden now helping out there is motivating to keep us doing the good work here in Georgia, said Emily Zaneski, a student at Georgia Southern University. The Sunrise Movement, described as a progressive youth-led climate justice group, has organized its 400-plus local hubs to call and text into Georgia in an attempt to contact voters under the age of 35. The Next Gen America, a progressive youth organization, a progressive youth vote organization, I should say, has recruited 138 influencers on TikTok and Instagram to give voters information about the elections. Meanwhile, the College Republicans group has hosted a national call competition in an effort to push its nationwide chapters to compete in a phone banking competition to see which one can make the most phone calls in support of Loeffler and Perdue, I should say. As of last week, about 2.1 million people, more than a quarter of the state's registered voters, have already cast their ballots in the races. Whew. Early voting is going to be a beast. So let's just hope. Let's hope. If you're Republican, I'm not hoping for anybody to win. Personally, I want to see John Ossoff win that one race. The other guy, the Warnock guy, I don't know about him. Ossoff, I want him to win. Just because of the way he carries himself. I just, I like a shark, man. I like a shark. Maybe he's got a little bit corruption in him, but he's much better than what Georgia had. You got to admit. Especially with let's just call it as we see it there, okay? Let's move on though. We're gonna shift left. We read from Newsmax. That's pretty right. Let's go left. To the left. All right. So that's one. There was another one here on MSNBC. I thought. There was another one here. There we go. All right. Here we go, guys. We're gonna cover some things. We're going to cover some things that they're a little bit serious, but also funny too. We're only going to cover two things from MSNBC. Then we're going to go to Fox, and then we're going to go to CNN, New York Times, TMZ. We're going to go to several different sources. But let's go into the very, very next piece here. All right. This is an opinion piece. So again, I like to read opinion pieces sometimes because they're very, very interesting. So that's from MSNBC. Yes, thank you for saying that. DM Cosmic on YouTube, he says that Destiny, a YouTuber, is going door to door in Georgia right now, and he's knocking on doors trying to get out he's spreading the message to get out to vote. So Destiny, he's doing that. Big ups to him for doing that. It doesn't really matter if you think that you don't agree with his particular message, but encouraging people to vote anyways. I mean, even if he's probably telling them to vote for Democrats, of course, but that doesn't mean that he gets to follow them to the polls. If they get out to vote, maybe they'll vote for the Republicans. Maybe they'll vote for Democrats. Maybe they'll vote for Mickey Mouse. Who knows? But people should use their right to vote. People have fought and died for that. Let's use it. All right, so this is an MSNBC opinion piece of how to keep 2020 from feeling like a massive disappointment. What makes a year better than the last? All right, it's written by Hayes Brown. Vast is becoming one of my favorite writers. Even if I don't agree with a lot of what he says, I like where he comes from. I mean, even if I don't agree with your conclusion, I can still respect how you got there, right? So let's get into this. 2020 was supposed to be better. 12 months ago, the clock was winding down on a year that could only have been described as chaotic. As a small sample, the Amazon was on fire, Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris nearly burned down, Jeffrey Epstein died in prison before we had the answers we needed, the president was impeached on charges of basically extorting a foreign country's leader. It turns out better is the moving target. If anything, 2020 has finally exposed the fallacy of the way we think about what a better next year looks like. Because in the end, 2019 didn't differ much from the also bad 2018, which itself didn't exactly improve on 2017. And let's not even talk about 2016. Each year brings with its own piquant bouquet of tragedies. The way time can flow in seeming ebbs and starts keeping those tragedies artfully arranged to leave the deepest impression in our minds of the horrors we've just experienced. Again, that is a beautiful piece, man. Like that. The way that he writes is just beautiful. The way it flows, like That's why, even though I don't agree with this guy on like a lot of things, first of all, I agree with everything that he just said there. I mean, that is perfect because we have a way of looking at the current and we forget what happened in the freaking past. It's very, very similar to how we look at presidents. We judge, like, again, I think Donald Trump fucked up a lot, but is he worse than Bush? Bush started 2 wars, bruh. I mean, Trump is bad. Obama was bad. Clinton was bad. But Bush, that motherfucker, he was next fucking level bad. You know, but we don't remember it like that because of recency bias. You know, we don't remember it like that. And it's so odd that we in our minds do that because we don't remember, you know, things that just happened, that honestly just happened. You know, it's so odd that we forget things so quickly. And the thing about us forgetting things is that you would almost have to say that it is intentional. You know? Now, give me a second. Let me pause for a second here. All right. There we go. I had to go and check on my doggo. He sometimes acts like he's lonely. He's a pit bull, and sometimes he's a little bit needy. He likes to you know, wait on me, likes to pet on me, likes to, you know, be. He sometimes acts like he's lonely. He's a pit bull. So, but let's move on here. All right, so we're gonna move on here. This year in particular has managed to challenge us in ways that's made it feel like the culmination of an unpleasant stretch of time, culled together from our memories into a freakish amalgam designed to counter our hopes and expectations. This terrible sense of familiarity. Hold on, let me say that again. Hold on. He just kills it, man. This terrible sense of familiarity was woven into some of the year's lowest moments. The 6-year gap between the protests in Ferguson, Missouri over the police killing of Michael Brown and George Floyd's death at the hands of the Minneapolis police in May shrunk and collapsed on the streets of American cities this summer, punctuated with the hashtags of other black men and women killed by police along the way. Interesting. So you see, like, the contrast there. You know, people don't remember time periods; they remember moments. You know, and it's kind of like basketball, right? Notice how people, when they judge who's the best basketball player, you know, and if you're into like basketball, you know, or like football or any kind of sport, you'll notice that young kids or people, they'll get caught up in like moments, and they'll hype up something or hype down something or put something down based on moments, because people are caught up in moments, man. They're not caught up in time periods, just moments, singular points in time, in which they're just hung up on it and they just can't get off it. You know? But anyways, let's move on here. Likewise, the political drama that's marked down the era has managed to continuously ooze over the border between years. The cliffhanger we ended on in 2018, a 35-day government shutdown, if you can't remember back that far, wasn't resolved until almost a full month into the new year. The House of Representatives passed articles of impeachment against President Donald Trump in mid-December of last year, only for Speaker Nancy Pelosi to withhold them from the Senate for weeks. Today, we're faced with the reality that Trump's attempts to steal the election won't fade into nothingness, and there will be always some new enabler. Rather than dying at the Supreme Court or with the Electoral College's vote, Trump's ego-driven attempt to subvert democracy will stretch into January as well. And we already talked about Senator Josh Hawley. yesterday and just now. Worse than the rollover crisis was the one that seemed to come out of nowhere. I remember discussing a weird new disease with co-workers on Slack as late as mid-February. We felt wise in our confident prediction that there might be worries about a global recession, but that COVID-19 wouldn't become a pandemic. It hurt to look back at those logs just a month later. I mean, he's being honest here. I mean, you know, and that's why I like the guy. I mean, even if you don't respect his opinion, right? The man's being honest. The man's being honest. You know, I mean, he's criticizing himself there. He's saying that back in like mid-February, oh, it's not gonna become a freaking pandemic. And then you gotta look back at those freaking chat logs a month later and go, boy, was I wrong. You know, and he's actually admitting to that. And I can at least respect the man who's gonna put that out into the ether, into the internet and say, hey, I was wrong about something. And I can respect that. That's why I like Hayes Brown. But let's move on. The pain and suffering that the coronavirus has brought and the lack of an effective response to its spread have made 2020 particularly hellacious. More than 330,000 Americans are dead. Millions are sickened. And while 2 vaccines have been approved, their distribution is lagging. Millions more Americans are unemployed than this time last year, and the gap between the billionaires and corporations who profited handsomely and the average worker is more galling than ever. Let's move on here. Even the absurdities of the year have felt tinted with malice. The U.S. was already a month and a half into the pandemic when the New York Times first article about the murder hornet went viral. Yeah, I remember that too, the murder hornets. For all the wackiness of QAnon's mass delusion tenets, its supporters have enmeshed themselves in popular corners of the internet and spread its influence offline. And remember the mystery seeds from China? I'm still not entirely sure what was up with those. Yeah, that was like, what was up with that? Like that was such an odd. Like, do you even remember that? Like, there's so much things that happened. Like Now, the mystery seeds, what the hell was that about? I mean, maybe I'll cover that a little bit later. I'll go back to this and I'll keep going with the article. But what was that? Like, the freaking monuments, the freaking what was those? The monoliths. I mean, that freaking UFO stuff. I mean, so much stuff happened. It's crazy. Let's move on here, though. As the chapter finally closes on Friday, none of the underlying issues that have made the year feel so isolating and frustrating will go away in a puff of smoke. Trump will be out of office soon, but his anti-democratic legacy and support for white supremacy will live on. COVID-19 will eventually wane as the vaccine is administered, but there may be no new normal. There will always be some new series of unfortunate events waiting for us in the time stream, whether they're new ways for old pains to flare up or brand new surprises like the pandemic. So while very few people will be sad to see 2020 in the rearview mirror, perhaps it's worth recalibrating our thinking about how to judge the new year before it dawns. I think that the answer can't depend on things outside of most of our control. We spent the last half a decade reassuring ourselves each December that things will calm down next year, that chaos will fall to order, and been sorely disappointed each time. I mean, you have to admit, even if you don't agree with everything that he said here, there's some things in there that you can actually agree with. There's some things in there that you can actually say, okay, cool. He's right about that. Because every year we always think, this December, man, things are gonna be better. Next year, New Year's, new year, new me, right? But then December comes along, December 31st, still the old you. We have to readjust ourselves, and if we're gonna say new year, new me, actually put in the effort to be that. And I just love, Hayes Brown. Big ups to him, doing big things. Love you, bro. Let's move on. All right. This is a wild story. Oh my God. Let's go ahead and give you the link to the story real quick. I'll give you links to all the stories. It's from MSNBC. So you can follow along. You don't have to just take my word for it. I do give my personal opinion along when I read the story. However, I do give you the links too, so you can follow along. All right, so this is from MSNBC. New York restaurant loses liquor license after COVID conga line party. Video captured dancing maskless Republicans partying at Il Baco in Queens. Oh my God. This is going to be a minute or less video right here. Okay. By David K. Lee and Ali Gostanian. New York State authorities yanked the liquor license of a restaurant that played host to a COVID conga line that might have led to at least one infection, officials said Thursday. So let's go ahead and watch this real quick. I'm going to play it a few times. That way you can see it. I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to play it on the video. So, what do you think? Just brilliant, huh? Oh my God. So, the Whitestone Republican Club in New York City apparently held a Christmas party this year without a care in the world about COVID. Wow. Listen, even if you don't agree with, even if you don't think the virus is serious, right? Even if you don't think that the virus is all that, right? Even if you think that this whole thing's overblown, even if you're one of those people, and I don't agree with you. Don't get it twisted. I don't agree with you. I think the virus is very, very serious. But even if you're one of those people, do you think that given how a good bit of the country sees it, right, that this is gonna come off as good? This is good for optics. You're in New York City in December when it's cold out. Even if you don't think the virus is as serious as you think it is, do you not think it's a good idea to at least socially distance during this period? I mean, you say crime is up, right? Because of all the hashtag from the police and stuff, right? So why would you have a big old party with a bunch of people who have all this money? I mean, it sounds like a good robbery target to me. I mean, you say there's so much gun control in New York, so it's not like you can defend yourself, right? Unless you've been, exaggerating that, right? So, I mean, it just doesn't make sense from any kind of angle. It just doesn't. It just, oh my God. It just doesn't make any sense. It's just dumb stuff. It's just dumb logic. Dumb logic. I'm not going to say the R word because some people they get upset when I say the R word. I'm going to say it is exceptional. Exceptional. It's exceptional material from exceptional people. All right. Let's get into this though. The Whitestone Republican Club threw its Christmas bash at Il Baco on Northern Boulevard in the borough of Queens, and the group danced the night away without masks. In widely circulated video footage, nearly a dozen revelers, none of whom were wearing a mask, could be seen dancing and singing to the Bee Gees' "You Should Be Dancing." The head of the conga line appeared to be holding a flag in support of President Donald Trump. After video surfaced of a potential super spreader holiday party at Il Baco with maskless dancing, the SLA immediately launched an investigation, the state liquor authority said in a statement. During a follow-up inspection, investigators found flagrant violations of indoor dining regulations and existing health safety and alcoholic beverage control laws, which while verifying the maskless party depicted in the video did in fact occur. And that's the restaurant right there, the Il Baco right there. At least one guest at the party has tested positive for the coronavirus. The Whitestone Republican Club said Thursday. Oh my God! So that is post that link in the chat right there. Had that juicy meat. You know that like that one British black dude said, spicy meat. Yeah, boy. That's some spicy meat. Yeah, boy. Let's move on here now. We wish the best to Jim Trent for a speedy recovery and understand that his hospitalization was purely precautionary and that he is being released today, the club said in a statement. Whether he contracted the virus at our event, his club's holiday party held a few days prior, or in the normal course of life will likely never be known. Sounds like a moment where I'm just gonna sip my tea and just shut my black ass up, right? Y'all, you know, the freaking MAGA folk and the anti, you know, the COVID's a lie crowd. They always tell me to shut my black ass up, so I'm just gonna shut my black ass up and just watch this man be sick with damn COVID, you know. Dr. Pepper never tasted so good. Dr. Pepper never tasted so tasty. All right, let's move on here. The club was unapologetic about the party, saying its members will not give in to threat of force by official penalty and retaliation. You know, when someone sends a text like that, you just respond, okay. Oh my God. Let's move on here. All right. Defending our personal liberties is paramount in a free society, and no one should be penalized, shamed, or ostracized for how they choose to live their life, the club said in a statement. An answering machine at Il Baco said it will be closed until indoor dining is permitted again. That might be a while, sucker. Several emails to Il Baco seeking management's comment on the license suspension were not immediately returned. They don't want to talk to you. They like Lil Sean. I don't fuck with you, but you gonna fuck with this suspension license though. This suspended license though. You gonna catch this suspension hands though. You feel me? Shawty? Il Baco. Let's move on here. This summary suspension should send a strong message that we have zero tolerance for establishments that put New Yorkers' health at risk, the state liquor authority added. Those partygoers drew the ire of Queens native and New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Conga lines are not smart, Cuomo said shortly after the viral video surfaced. Why would you do an unmasked conga line in the middle of a COVID pandemic? Whatever your political persuasion, defies logical explanation as far as I'm concerned. You know, I think Cuomo, I think that he is a giant walking sperm cell that is disgusting and stinky. And honestly, if you took a poop on him, honestly, that's kind of like putting on makeup, because you could only improve from there. But he's right there. I can't disagree. You gotta understand. If nothing else, right? Optics. what looks good and what looks bad, right? You understand. You totally get it. If you walk outside with your freaking dick out, right? You can have the most magnificent looking penis in the world. But if you walk outside with your dick out, someone's going to take issue with that, right? Right? And ladies, you know that you can walk outside and not wash your ass. You can walk outside with unwashed ass. You can cast a freaking spell called ass of freaking unwashing. Ass of unwashing. You know, you cast it for 3 black mana and 2 green mana. You know, you cast spell of ass unwashing, and you just smell like ass all day. You know you can do that, but you understand that optics, it looks bad, right? You have the freedom to do something. That does not mean you should do it. Oh my God! You should not just do things because you can do it. Now, granted, I'm a bit of a hypocrite there. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just, you know, listen. I do things sometimes because, you know, I think that it's funny, you know. But listen, in general, you should try to not just do things because you can't do it. All right. Let's move on. All right, we're moving along, making good time. We're going on to Fox News, guys. Fox News. We already read a story about this. This is going to be an interesting one. All right. So, here we go. Our very next story is going to be from Fox News. This calls for Black Lives Matter, calls for monthly stimulus checks for families crushed by pandemic. This isn't about a stimulus. It's about survival, as $600 ain't it. I feel you. You know what? Lately, man, BLM, you got to give it to them, man. You say what you want about them. You know, I mean, they've been in there. They be out there, man. Listen, Republicans, MAGA, Blue Lives Matter people, the thin blue line people, don't hate them. Take notes. Bro, they on the NBA. They on the NFL. They doing big things, bro. Whoever that publicist is, I got to say, man, they are doing a freaking outstanding job. Wonderful job. I would hire you any day of the week. Please come and offer me your freaking card, because I will take your card and I will hire you, because you can get me out there. I need it. I need it, Jesus. Let's move on here though. Black Lives Matter calls for monthly stimulus checks. Hold on. Let me mute this. Give me a second. I gotta mute this thing here. Oh gosh. They got these ads on Fox News are just awful, man. These ads on Fox News are just awful, man. Trying to pause this thing. Let me just refresh the page, because Fox News, man, they are awful with this, man. They gotta stop with these ads, bro. Jesus. All right, so let's move on here. Oh, let me try. I'm about to go back over this, because these ads are just awful. All right, so Black Lives Matter calls for monthly stimulus checks for families crushed by pandemic. This isn't about stimulus. This is about survival, and $600 ain't it. Black Lives Matter said Thursday the $600 stimulus payment included in the government's most recent coronavirus relief package. Give me a second. Black Lives Matter said Thursday a $600 stimulus payment included in the government's most recent coronavirus relief package is far too little to support struggling families and is demanding monthly checks instead. Black families are struggling to keep roofs over their heads, food in their bellies, and health care covered. This isn't about a stimulus. This is about survival. And $600 ain't it. We demand monthly checks, the group said in a post on Twitter. And this is part of a tweet here. Tweet says, Black business ownership, 40% decline. Eviction risk, 40 million people. Black families are struggling to keep roofs over their head, food in their bellies, and health care covered. This isn't about a stimulus. This is about survival. And $600 ain't it. We demand monthly checks. They made that post on December 31st, which is today, New Year's Eve. You know. BLM did not respond to Fox News' query as to whether it has approached the incoming Biden administration about monthly checks. On Monday, House lawmakers passed a standalone bill that would raise the direct payments amounts distributed to American households under the new COVID-19 relief legislation. The new COVID-19 relief legislation from $600 to $2,000, a move backed by President Trump, who initially held off on signing a new funding package because he viewed the checks as inadequate. The fate of the bill rests in the hands of the Republican-controlled Senate, where Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has pushed back, including the $2,000 checks in a bill with poison pills likely to sink. Wow. That is just ridiculous. All right, so we're going to move on to West Virginia. I'm the lover. Take me home. West Virginia. Listen, I love you, West Virginia. I love everybody in West Virginia. But y'all got to admit, y'all got too many cousin fuckers there, man. You a cousin fucker. You a cousin fucker. They fuck each other cousins. Fucking each other's cousins. Bro, y'all got too many cousin fuckers over there, bro. Y'all gotta stop that, bro. Y'all be digging in y'all cousins' bellies, bro, with your pee-pees. You gotta stop doing that, bro. Come on, man. You grew up next to her, bro. It don't matter if she being 18. That's your cousin, bro. You gotta admit, West Virginia, man, y'all got too many cousin fuckers to that motherfucker there, bro. I tell you what, ain't nobody got no damn teeth there either, bro. You got 5 whole teeth in the whole damn state. The whole state got a handful of teeth. Yo. I drove through that motherfucker. I'm trying to tell you, though. The whole state got like 10 teeth, bro. I'm telling you. All right, let's move on right back here. Fox News. West Virginia accidentally gives 42 people COVID-19 treatment instead of vaccine. Who would have thought that cousin fuckers couldn't give a vaccine correctly? Who would have thunk it? God damn. Oh my God. West Virginia accidentally gives 42 people COVID-19 treatment instead of vaccine. Medical experts believe the individuals given the wrong injection are not at risk. Oh my God. Oh my God. You ready for this, guys? The West Virginia National Guard admitted Thursday that 42 people expecting to receive the Moderna vaccine for COVID-19 were instead accidentally given the Regeneron antibody used to treat infections. The mistake occurred at a vaccination clinic hosted by staff at the Boone County Health Department, and all of the people who accidentally received the wrong product are being contacted by the department, the National Guard said in a statement. Let me go ahead and open this. I want to Read from that one too. Medical experts with the Joint Interagency Task Force said they do not believe the individuals given the wrong injections are at risk of any harm. The moment that we were notified of what happened, we acted right away to correct it, and we immediately reviewed and strengthened our protocols to enhance our distribution process to prevent this from happening again. Major General James Hoyer, Adjutant General of the West Virginia National Guard, said in a statement. All right. Regeneron has been touted by President Trump as helping to cure him of COVID-19 when he contracted the virus in November. Shortly after, the FDA greenlighted the emergency use of the experimental treatment, which involves monoclonal antibodies or manufactured copies of antibodies created by the human body to help fight infections. Let's move down here. The products administered are antibodies that fight COVID-19. Dr. Clay Marsh, the state's COVID-19 czar, said in a statement. While this injection is not harmful, it was substituted for the vaccine. But this occurrence provides our leadership team an important opportunity to review and improve the safety and process of vaccination for each West Virginian. Listen, that should have been done from the goddamn start. That should have been done from the start. How do you give 42 people the wrong injection? Bruh, do you understand what kind of situation that we're in right now? You can't afford to do that. Let's move on. We're going to move on to this one last story before we take a 30-minute break. I can tell you not to go anywhere, but guys, make sure you hit the like button, hit the share button, let people know that I run the show. If you want to call in, the number to call in is 253-203-6784. Again, the number to call in is 253-203-6784. If I miss your call, I will call you back. Try to call in from an actual number with an actual area code, no unknown numbers, because unknown numbers, you know what those are going to be. Also, I'm going to leave a link to my Discord. That way, if you don't have a phone where you can call in, you can join my Discord server and let me know that you're in the chat and you want to have a chat with me. Give me a second. Let me pause this recording. Okay, I don't want to hear this ad. All right, cool. So let me get a link to my Discord here. That way, if you guys want to join, you can. My Discord is called The Inferno. So that way, if you don't have a phone, you can still contact me and you can still talk, and I can play the desktop audio so you can still be heard, because I want people to be able to reach out to me in multiple ways. So if you don't have a phone, and I understand during this period, some people might not have the money to afford a phone. I get it, so I'm not gonna force you to go ahead and do that. This is gonna be the last article we're gonna cover, and before we take a break, we're gonna cover a lot of articles today. But Surgeon General blames COVID-19 vaccination delays on state local funding shortages. People forget that we've always underfunded public health going back several decades. Surgeon General Dr. Jerome Adams said. This is from Fox News, published 6 hours ago by Vandana Rambaran of Fox News. Let's go ahead and get this here. I'm going to go ahead and copy this title. Makes it a little easy on me posting in the chat. I'm going to post a link in the chat for you guys. That way you guys can have this. That way you can follow along. So I'm not saying I'm not manipulating anything. I don't want to manipulate you. I don't want to manipulate. I want to manipulate you. I want to slide you over to the area of truth where you question everything. You don't take anything from Democrats or Republicans or your mascot isn't a donkey or an elephant. Your mascot is what you see in the mirror. That's who you back. You don't back politicians. Hashtag no more fans. Hashtag no more political fans. Let's get into it. Surgeon General Dr. Jerome Adams says lack of state and local funds may be one reason why millions of COVID-19 vaccines distributed to states across the country have yet to be given to patients. Just under 3 million people have received the vaccine, despite the Trump administration promising to administer 20 million by the end of December. So you see how this is going, right? It's going to be a while before you see that vaccine. Oh my God. Don't count on it coming anytime soon, baby. It's going to be a while. It's going to be a while. Still, Adams said on ABC's Good Morning America, the federal government is on track to have 20 million doses of the vaccine on the ground by the end of next week, a tempering of President Trump's initial goal. Yeah, he kind of calmed that down. He's like, hey, hey, bro, you busting the club with the guns blazing, but you busting there, with freaking porn. Freaking Corn Pop was in there, Corn Pop's a real gangster. We gotta calm this down, You remember Corn Pop from Joe Biden? I remember Corn Pop. I love Corn Pop. I think that Joe Biden should make Corn Pop the Secretary of freaking Defense, man. That'd be great. Let's move on here, though. The federal government has looked to shift blame to the states, with Trump tweeting Wednesday for state officials to get moving on doling out shots to first priority candidates such as healthcare workers and elderly patients in nursing home facilities. There's vaccines manufactured, there's vaccines allocated, there's vaccines delivered, and then there's vaccines put in arms, Adams said. I used to run a state health department. People forget that we've always underfunded public health going back several decades, and so chronically we need to continue to fund state and local public health better, he added. Well, you are the federal government, aren't you? Why won't you fund them? Why won't you send more money for that? Oh, I know why. You know exactly why. You claim that there were poorly run Democrat cities that you didn't want to give money to right now. So, MAGA, what is us gonna do then? This is like a real conundrum. Do you want them to get the money or not, baby? Again, you're gonna keep running into that problem. You're gonna keep seeing that because there's just so much there that's just, it's just too much inconsistency. Let's go here. Let's move down here. Governors in several states, however, have complained that federal funding is lacking, creating a widening gap between the number of vaccines on hand and the number of people who are receiving them. The federal government has caught flack for confusion over the vaccines rollout, with President-elect Joe Biden slamming Trump's effort at distributing vaccinations in a timely manner as falling behind, far behind. Biden said he has directed his team to prepare a much more aggressive effort with more federal involvement and leadership to get things back on track once he assumes office on January 20th. We'll find ways to boost the pace of vaccinations, he said, reiterating the goal of ensuring that 100 million shots have been administered by the end of the first 100 days. That's the end of the article there, guys. I'll give you the link to the article in the description, guys. Not the description, but the live chat, I should say. All right, guys, we're going to take a 30-minute break, and we're going to come back with more Pitchfork Podcast. Guys, don't go anywhere. I want you guys to stay put. We're going to get into some more deeper, juicier stories. We're going to be covering a lot of things. If you want to follow me on Twitter, Devs Advocate, at Devs Advocate is going to be, you want to follow me on Twitch, it's going to be Fuse Painter 86. That's going to be my gaming channel. That's where I do a lot of my Magic the Gathering, League of Legends, World War Z, Doom Eternal, Call of Duty, NBA 2K. I play a lot of games. I play games every day. So if you want to follow me there. But follow me here if you want to see those games. I stream on all the platforms when I game. Also, Devil's Advocate on YouTube, which is my biggest and main platform. The Pitchfork Podcast, I run this every day, guys, from at 1 p.m. Pacific or 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, guys. I run it for a few hours every day. I want to give it a quick news format that's entertaining but also informative. I give news stories from the left, right, and center so that you can make up your own mind, guys. I don't want to just feed you bullshit. I don't want to say just read your news. I want to give you news from different sources and also give you some and sometimes, as a journalist myself, I'll give you news from my own articles. I don't want to do that too often because I ghostwrite a lot of articles for certain publications, and I do it under pen names. So I don't want to blow my cover or give you a trace to find me. But anyways, with that being said, guys, we're gonna take a 30-minute break. I'm gonna go walk my doggo, and let me go and go visit the little boy's room and have myself something to drink and do a little bit of Macarena. And don't go anywhere, guys. I'll be right back with more Pitchfork Podcast. right. We are back, guys. We're back. All right. Guys, we're back from our break. All right. Hopefully you guys did not go anywhere. Welcome back to the Pitchfork Podcast, guys. The number to call in is 253-203-6784. Again, the number to call in is 253-203-6784. The number is going to be on the screen for you. Now, we've already discussed Graham gives Holly people's elbow, scuffs, COVID on the rise in some cases. We have not discussed the new strain that is in the U.S. and crazy stories and much more. If you want to follow me on social media, go to Twitter, Devs Africa on Twitter. On Twitch, I am FusePainter86, and on YouTube, I am Devil's Advocate. But I am streaming on Trovo. I am streaming on DLive. I am streaming on Facebook. I'm streaming everywhere, guys. Check the links in the description to follow me on social media. Also, hit like button, hit share button, guys. Let people know that I run this podcast every day just for you, and I run it so that you can be informed, but also entertained in the new reality, in the new normal. With that being said, guys, I'm going to type some out in the chat real quick. And we are back. Like button. Share content. I run this podcast to inform and entertain. All right. Let's get started. All right, so let's get started, guys. We're going to go back to the news stories. We're going to get back into the news. Hopefully you guys have been entertained so far. I aim to please at all times, please you, and maybe not conform to your opinions in some cases, but I want to at least inform you that there are opinions out there, and to also give you the sources so that you can make up your own mind. You can read the same sources that I read out to you, and you can come up with your own conclusions. I'm just giving you my take on it because it's my channel, and I think that you guys came here to hear that. So with that being said, let's get into the news stories. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. Again, the number to call in is 253-203-6784. Again, one more time, the number to call in is 253-203-6784. Let's go ahead and check, see if we got any phone calls so far. Just a second. Skype is loading up. We have not, but that's okay. Discord's also open. The Discord link is in the chat. If you need another link, guys, another copy of the link here. I'm gonna drop the link to my Discord in the chat one more time. If you don't have a phone to call in, you can reach out to me on Discord. Link to my Discord, the Inferno. All right, so that is in the chat. If you guys want to reach out to me on Discord, you can do so, and you can join my Discord. You can join the streaming section. And once you do so, let me know in the chat that you've done so, and I will reach out to you, and you can just join the just join the chat, and you can start speaking, and I can play desktop audio so that people can hear you. So it's just like being on the phone, but just a little bit better. All right, so we've covered Newsmax, MSNBC, Fox News. Now we're going to get into CNN. Let's see what the old CNN is saying. By the way, guys, I try to be a little bit entertaining, so pardon if you don't care for that style, but I don't want to just read you news. I want to be entertaining. All right, so open a few stories. Few stories that I thought were pretty interesting. All right, so you ready for this, guys? At least 140 House Republicans to vote against counting electoral votes, two GOP lawmakers say. All right, this is from Jake Tapper on CNN. Yeah, so at least 140 House Republicans plan on, yes, Happy New Year, Jay Willie series. I love you, brother. Always so glad to see you. Always so glad to see a familiar face, a happy, smiley face, guys. So let's go ahead and get you. Let's go ahead and copy that title real quick, and that is just wild to me. All right. All right. Let me get a link there because you guys need the link. By the way, Jay Willie, how's things going in your country, in your neck of the woods? Let me know how you feel. Let me know how you doing, brother. Let me know. All right, so at least 140 House Republicans to vote against county electoral votes, 2 GOP lawmakers say. Jake, this is from Jake Tapper from CNN. So, 2 Republican members. Let me pause this real quick. There we go. Two Republican members of the House. 2 Republican members of the House of Representatives tell CNN that they expect at least 140 of their GOP colleagues in the House to vote against counting the electoral votes on January 6, when Congress is expected to certify President-elect Joe Biden's victory. President Donald Trump's Republican allies have virtually zero chance of changing the result, only to delay by a few hours the inevitable affirmation of Biden as the Electoral College winner and the next president. There have been no credible allegations of any issues with voting that would have impacted the election, as affirmed by dozens of judges, governors, election officials, the Electoral College, the Justice Department, the Department of Homeland Security, and the U.S. Supreme Court. But Trump is determined to claim he didn't lose, which he did significantly. And many GOP politicians either share his delusion or fear provoking his wrath, even if it means voting to undermine democracy. So obviously there's a little bit of a bent here with Jake Tapper. You had to expect that. But he's being Jake Tapper. He's consistent in being Jake Tapper. That's the only consistency you can kind of expect, I guess. Both the House member and senator are required to mount an objection when Congress counts the votes. Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri said Wednesday he will object, which will force lawmakers in both the House and Senate to vote on whether to accept the results of Biden's victory. The other senators, including incoming ones, could still join that effort, which Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has privately urged Republicans not to do. Trump has been pushing for Congress to try to overturn the election result, as his campaign's attempts to overturn the election through the courts have been repeatedly rejected. Nebraska Senator Ben Sasse spoke out against that strategy and the complicity of some of his GOP colleagues in a Facebook post Wednesday night, urging Republicans to reject the effort to object to the certification process. The president and his allies are playing with fire, he wrote. They have been asking first the courts, then state legislators, now the Congress, to overturn the results of a presidential election. They have been unsuccessfully called on judges. And are now calling on federal office holders to invalidate millions and millions of votes. If you make big claims, you had better have the evidence. But the president doesn't, and neither do the institutional arsonist members of Congress who will object to the Electoral College vote. Among the more than 12 Republican House members who have already publicly said they'll vote against counting the electoral votes next week are Representatives Mo Brooks of Alabama, who's spearheading the effort, Jody Hice of Georgia, Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey, and Joe Wilson of South Carolina. Included in that group are 8 Republican lawmakers from Pennsylvania who announced their intentions in a joint statement earlier Thursday. Several incoming Republican House members have also said they will object to the certification process, including Representatives elect Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, Madison Cawthorn of North Carolina, Lauren Boebert of Colorado, and Diana Harshbarger of Tennessee. Well, that's quite a list there. And those are some quite exceptional individuals. I'm not going to say the R word, the R-tarded word. I'm going to say they are exceptional individuals. Exceptional. at least 140 House Republicans to vote against counting electoral votes, two GOP lawmakers say. That's the claim. It's produced by CNN. Make of that what you will. You make up your own mind with that. With that one, I would just say that these are some exceptional individuals. They are quite exceptional. And let me read something from the stream here. Okay, so this is from Jay Willie series. All right, it's going good. I would be on the call if my arm didn't hurt so much. Jay Willie, hey, check it out, man. Don't worry about it. Hey, I love you anyways, man. Because guess what? I want you to know that I do this show for people like you so that you can be informed and you can also be entertained. Because understand there's a lot of misery out there, and I know that I have a talent to disseminate the news but also entertain at the same time. To be actual infotainment, be an actual YouTuber. Actually try to, keep you informed but at the same time not bore the hell out you. And maybe I feel like that. You guys let me know. I'm always gonna have some haters, but however, I want you to know that I do this for you. With that being said, guys, hit the like button, hit the share button, let people know that I run this content. We're gonna move into the next story. Right to the next story, guys. Let's go here. All right. El Paso teacher whose video of students hugging became a national sensation dies from COVID-19. Oh man, that's a rough story. Let's copy this. We're gonna cover it because it was a big story when it first came out. It was huge. It was everywhere. I remember it very, very well. All right, so let me go ahead and get a link for you here. So I want you guys to follow along with me. And even if you can't follow along, I'm gonna allow like going forward live chat replay. So if you want the links, you can just have them, All right, so let's go back here. Her smile and positive attitude are what her family and school community are remembering as they mourn the loss of a beloved teacher. Zeline Blanquez, a first grade teacher at Dr. Sue A. Shook Elementary School in El Paso, Texas, died Monday, her family told CNN. She was 10 years into her career as a teacher. Blanquez tested positive for coronavirus October 20th, and days later she was hospitalized, her brother Mario Blanquez told CNN. After weeks of showing signs of recovery and taking steps on her own, her oxygen levels dropped, and she was intubated November 22nd. The otherwise healthy 35-year-old never came off the ventilator, her brother said. She spent 2 months in the hospital before dying of complications from COVID-19, her family said. She was like my Wonder Woman, Blanchett said. She was my backbone, and she was like my second mother, even though we are only 4 years apart. Wow. That's rough, man. The way she lived her life and how she spread a message of kindness to her students and everyone around her is how her family wants to remember Zeline, he said. Even though sometimes being a teacher is kind of tough, she always looked at the positive way, Blanchett said. I didn't know until now, but she was a walking angel. Zeline Blanchett leaves behind her parents, Gloria Luna and Victor Blanchett, her brother and her niece, Natalia. Her babies were her two dogs, Rocky and Chico. The family set up a GoFundMe campaign to raise money for her medical expenses during her extended hospital stay. The family plans to hold a funeral for Zeline on January 8th, her brother said. I'm going to share that GoFundMe. That is rough, man. Wow. It was hard, like, reading that, man. It seemed like a pretty good person, and it kind of sucks when when good things happen to bad people, and I want to share that GoFundMe, man.
But you know, I mean, it's a good way to kind of like remember her, and you know, I mean, it was kind of a nice thing. I don't want to show that stuff, but man, that's rough. Let's move on to something else, man. That was rough. That was rough to get through, man. All right, this one here. All right, so we're gonna read this here. GOP Senator Ben Sass slams Republicans who plan to delay certification of Joe Biden's win by CNN. We're gonna give a link in the chat. Let me go ahead and get a link for you. All right. So I always like to give you a link, that way you can follow along. Alright, so link is posted in the chat if you're interested. Alright, GOP Senator Ben Sass wrote on Facebook Wednesday night that he has been urging his Republican colleagues to reject objecting the certification process of the Electoral College and President-elect Joe Biden's victory, adding that talk of objecting the process is a dangerous ploy. Having been in private conversation with 24 of my colleagues over the past few weeks, it seems useful to explain in public why I will not be participating in the project to overturn the election, and why I have been urging my colleagues also to reject this dangerous ploy, Sass, the Republican senator from Nebraska, wrote in a 6-part Facebook status late Wednesday night. He added, the president and his allies are playing with fire. They have been asking first the courts, then state legislators, now the Congress, to overturn the results of a presidential election. They have unsuccessfully called on judges and are now calling on federal office holders to invalidate millions and millions of votes. If you make big claims, you had better have the evidence. But the president doesn't, and neither do the institutional arsonists, members of Congress who will object to the Electoral College. The occasional critic of President Donald Trump alleged in his post that his Republican colleagues have entertained claims that the election was fraudulent out of fear of the political backlash from the president's base. I'm going to give that link of him being an occasional critic of Donald Trump. That way you get the full disclosure. You know, no one can say I'm hiding anything from you. There you go. Links in the chat. All right, so, excuse me. There we go. Sass's post come after Missouri Republican Senator Josh Hawley said Wednesday he will object when Congress counts the Electoral College votes next week, which will force lawmakers in both the House and Senate to vote on whether to accept Biden's victory. Let's move on here. Hawley is the first senator to announce plans to object to the results, which is significant because both a House member and senator are required to mount an objection when Congress counts the Electoral College votes on January 6th. Two Republican members of the House tell CNN's Jake Tapper that they expect at least 140 of their GOP colleagues in the House to vote against counting the electoral votes, and we just covered that one. So. The objection will not change the outcome of the election and will only delay the inevitable affirmation of Biden's victory in November over Trump. Democrats will reject any objections in the House, and multiple Republican senators have urged against an objection that will provide a platform for Trump's baseless conspiracy theories claiming the election was stolen from him. So you can see a clear bent here. It's not exactly objective there, but you know. I agree that the election was not stolen from Trump. However, I will say this is that, you know, the way it was written right there is pretty brutal, but it's honest. In my opinion, you cannot agree, but let's move on. In his Facebook post, Sass attacked Trump's conspiracies drawn on failed lawsuits by the Trump campaign in Pennsylvania, Arizona, Wisconsin, and Georgia, and wrote that the president's attempted lawsuits were a fundraising strategy. Sass also noted that former Attorney General William Barr said there is no evidence of widespread fraud in the presidential election. Let's get a link to that. Post that in the chat too. That way you guys can have that. There you go. All right. That's not serious governing. It's swampy politics, and it shows very little respect for the sincere people in my state who are writing these checks, Sass wrote. Sass ended his lengthy explanation with a discussion on the responsibility he feels to protecting America's institutions at this moment in time. Let's be clear what is happening here. We have a bunch of ambitious politicians who think there's a quick way to tap into the president's populist base without doing any real long-term damage, but they're wrong. And this issue is bigger than anyone's personal ambitions, Sass wrote. Following Biden's projected victory in November, Trump and his legal team have for weeks pushed increasingly desperate appeals and baseless conspiracy theories about his second term being stolen. His attack on the November election and his loss to Biden came to a peak in a brazen lawsuit initiated by the Texas Attorney General and brought to the Supreme Court. The lawsuit filed by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, a staunch Trump ally, sought to sue Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, and Wisconsin, which all went for Biden and invalidate their election results. The High Court slapped down the case promoted by Trump on December 11th, 3 days before the Electoral College met to cast votes for Biden as the winner of the November election. Trump is now eyeing next week's certification of the results by Congress as his next opportunity to overturn the result. But the process, even if it is drawn out by members of Congress objecting to states' results, will inevitably end with Biden entering the White House on January the 20th. They kind of dug in there, huh? Next story here. The pet story. Because I love doggos, and I'm pretty sure that you all love your doggos. Something that people should know about, the consumers should definitely know about. So, it's from CNN. You can go and get you a copy of that link. That way you can follow along. Let me know if you guys are loving the stream, because I'm loving you as the audience. I love you guys, and I know you love me too, so hugs and kisses. Let's go and move on with the story. FDA issues pet food alert after 28 dogs are reported dead from toxin. Written by Alan Kim of CNN, published today, December 31st, New Year's Eve, Thursday. By the way, Happy New Year's Eve, and before we ship tomorrow, Happy New Year's. Some sports mix pet food products from Midwestern pet foods have been recalled. The FDA is alerting pet owners about high levels of aflatoxin in some pet foods after 28 dogs reportedly died and eight owners were sickened. The food containing the toxin has been identified as certain sports mix products manufactured by Midwestern Pet Foods. The products were voluntarily recalled by the company on Wednesday. The FDA and the Missouri Department of Agriculture are working with the manufacturer to determine whether more products contain high levels of the toxin. The FDA said the investigation is ongoing and the scope of the recall may expand as new information becomes available. Aflatoxin is produced by the Aspergillus flavus mold. The FDA said it can grow on grains used as ingredients in pet food. When high levels of aflatoxin are consumed, it can cause illness or death in pets. Wow. Pets poisoned by aflatoxin can display symptoms that include sluggishness, jaundice, a yellowish tint in the eyes, or gums caused by liver damage, loss of appetite, vomiting, or diarrhea, according to the FDA. Even if a pet is not displaying any symptoms of aflatoxin poisoning, the FDA recommends that pet owners who have pets that have eaten the affected products contact their veterinarian, as it can cause long-term liver damage. While the FDA says there is no evidence that pet owners who have handled the affected food are at risk of aflatoxin poisoning, it recommends that they always wash their hands after handling pet food. So there's a list of all the pet food that's been recalled right there, and I gave you a link so you can look there yourself if you think you've had any of the affected foods. But here, pet owners can report suspected illnesses to the FDA electronically through its safety reporting portal or by calling the state consumer complaint coordinator. The FDA also offers a guide with steps to report a pet food complaint. I'm going to give you all those links because again, I love the doggos. I want the doggos to be safe. Because at this time, many people have been socially distanced and they rely on their pets. So the last thing we want to happen is anything to happen to your pets. Let's go ahead and give you all those links there. And it's going to be a live chat replay, so you can still get a hold of them if you didn't catch them during the stream. All right. So we got through those news stories. Let's move on. We're going to close out CNN. Now we come to the old gray lady New York Times. All right. Let's get into the news story. So there is going to be a few stories here, but we may have covered we may have to cover a few of them on tomorrow. But there was a few stories here. So there we go. So we're gonna go to the first one here. All right. So New York Times. So a worker accused of spoiling more than 500 vaccine doses is arrested. Oh my God, that is crazy. So I'm gonna go ahead and get you a link to that. Post it in the chat. Give me a second. I know I'm being a boomer right now. All right, there we go. All right, so here we go. Let's get back to the article here. A pharmacist is arrested after he allegedly allowed more than 500 vaccine doses to spoil. A pharmacist at a Wisconsin hospital has been arrested and accused of intentionally removing more than 500 doses of coronavirus vaccine from refrigeration last week, knowing that the vaccines would be rendered useless and that the people receiving them would think that they were protected against the virus when they were not. The police of Grafton, Wisconsin said Thursday. The hospital administered some of the doses for realizing that they had been spoiled, the hospital system said. The pharmacist, a man whom the police did not name, was arrested on recommended charges of first-degree recklessly endangering safety, adulterating a prescription drug, and criminal damage to property, all felonies. He's being held in the Ozaukee, I'm sorry if I butchered that. He's being held in the Ozaukee County Jail. It is not clear what his motive may have been. The Grafton Police Department is investigating the incident along with the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Food and Drug Administration, the department said. The hospital system advocate, Aurora Health, has given evolving accounts of what happened since it first discovered on December 26th that the vaccines had been removed overnight from refrigeration. First, it said the doses had been taken out accidentally. Then on Wednesday, it said that the pharmacist had admitted to intentionally removing the vials. On Thursday, in a video call with reporters, Jeff Barr, the president of Aurora Healthcare Medical Group, said that pharmacists had admitted to removing the vials from refrigeration on 2 consecutive nights, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and that the hospital had administered 57 of the doses before realizing how long they had been at room temperature. Dr. Barr said there was no evidence that the pharmacist had tampered with the vaccine in any way other than removing it from refrigeration, and that the pharmacist was no longer employed by the hospital system. Dr. Barr said that the hospital had consulted with Moderna, the pharmaceutical company that made the vaccines, and had been reassured that the spoiled vaccines would not harm the individuals who received them. But because the mRNA molecules in the vaccine quickly fall apart at room temperature, the doses would render less effective or ineffective, Dr. Barr said. He said that the 57 people who received the vaccine had been notified. He did not say what the hospital planned to do about the further doses for those people, who are probably employees of the health system, though Dr. Barr did not say so specifically. The hospital did not believe the incident resulted from any laxness or gaps in its protocols around managing the vaccine doses, Dr. Barr said. It's become clear that this was a situation involving a bad actor as opposed to a bad process, he said. Wisconsin experienced a devastating surge of coronavirus cases in the fall, and at times was the hardest hit state in the nation relative to its population. Transmission has since slowed a bit, but the state is still reporting about 39 new cases a day for every 100,000 people. At least 5,195 Wisconsin residents have died. As of Tuesday, the state have received 156,875 doses of vaccines and had administered 47,157 doses, according to the Wisconsin Department of Health Services. It's written by Kate Taylor, the New York Times. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for the show today. We've been running for a good little minute. I'm going to give you guys a quick show. 2 hours, 30 minutes is a good little run time. But guys, I want to let you know that I love you all. And again, if you want to call in, the number to call in is 253-203-6784. Again, the number is 253-203-6784. You want to join me on Discord, join me on Discord. But with that being said, guys, I want to thank you for joining me today. Thank you for coming in and sharing your day with me. I want to give you guys a quick little news update stories, and I want to give you guys a good, entertaining show. With that being said, guys, wear a mask, be safe, guys. Don't catch the virus. Be safe out there. I know everyone out there is having a tough time right now, but keep your head up. You know, I don't want to feed you false hope, but I don't want you to give up either. With that being said, guys, horns up, peace out.